Good morning. I see everyone looking bright-eyed and bushy-tailed this morning. It's a bit of a cloudy day here in Kiel, but that doesn't seem to have had an impact on your enthusiasm, as I can see. We had my name is Terry Martin, by the way, if you're just joining us for the first time today, whether in the room or online. We had a wonderful day yesterday. I'm not going to recap everything that happened, just to say that I learned a tremendous amount, and judging from the way the networking lunches and receptions went, I think everyone was very eager to exchange what they're working on, because we have an amazing collection of people here, both from the fields of science and research. There's a lot of science and research on this issue of munitions clearance. But we also have the policymaking community represented here, and members of the German Armed Forces as well, who are tasked with dealing with unexploded munitions every day. And also the commercial sector as well, the private sector. Some amazing technologies in the pipeline that we learned about yesterday for detection and for clearance of munitions and chemical agents in the water. So, I'm going to give you just a quick overview of what's coming up today, and then I'm going to introduce our first keynote. We do have a keynote from the German Navy Chief coming up in just a minute or two. We have a session on detection and identification of munitions in the sea. A presentation on the Merispace X project. It's a European project on digital cooperation in maritime research. We have a session on remediation, which I'll be leading, and I'm looking very much forward to that. Remediation solutions, that is really what the talk here is moving towards, which means that there's going to be a tremendous amount of interest in that session. I do recommend it, not just because I'm going to be leading it. At 1 o'clock, we have lunch and networking, and that wraps up the session, today's program here in this venue. But for those of you who have received a ticket, you will be joining us for an excursion to the Kiel Navy base for a showcase on mine hunting and clearance capabilities with the German Navy. There's limited capacity there, so you need to be sure you actually did get a ticket or confirmation of your registration. If you're not sure, the gentleman over there in the striped shirt, he's holding up his hand, that's Elias, and he can tell you whether you are registered for that event or not, because it's pretty strict, limited number of people who can be part of that. And if you are part of that, do be sure to bring your identification, your passport or your Personalausweis. So, I think we're ready to begin. I see some eager faces to hear what's about to come. It's not every day that we have the pleasure and the privilege of having with us one of the heads of the branches of the German Armed Forces, particularly one who is here in an area where it is focusing very much on what we are talking about, very much at the center of our discussions today. Without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, I give you Vice Admiral, also Admirable, Vice Admiral Kay-Achim Schönbach.
Now you know where the word Admiral is coming from. Hopefully, I'm going to disappoint you. Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests, thank you very much for the introduction. Now, I know from the very beginning that I put probably water in the wine, but we had it yesterday during the first conference, of the small stream conference yesterday evening. Now, first of all, and foremost, I would like to thank you, the organizers, to give me the opportunity to outline the role of the German Navy in this context of munition waste disposal in the North Sea, but here now foremost in the Baltic Sea. I'm pleased to be able to address a keynote here on the stage of the Kiel Munition Clearance Week, but I have to acknowledge that we, German Navy, are not a key role player in this process. Now, this could be the end of my address, but I guess just mention that we are the one and only Navy in the world, or the one and only state in the Navy, where the Navy is not responsible for all these aspects we are just touching. Hopefully, we change this in the next government. Sorry to say that. So outsiders may get the idea that indeed the Navy has some competence, yes, of course, in this topic, but especially since in other European countries, and I think I should focus on these EU and European countries, the naval forces really actually have the lead in clearing contaminated sites, not in Germany. However, in Germany, the clearance or disposal of ammunition is not a task of the armed forces, but in responsibility of the federal state within TTV, so territorial waters, or responsibility of the German federal government outside the TTV, maybe NATO, maybe EU or whatever. Nevertheless, like any seafarer, I'm very concerned indeed when dealing with this urgent problem. It is almost beyond imagination by hearing the figures about the munitions, mines, and even chemical warfare agents still laying in the Baltic Sea. You probably heard about 1.5 million tons just in German TTVs. Is quite a lot. And it's not just from World War I and World War II, but of course much more. And even if I say that to our Anglo-Saxon friends, even the Anglo-Saxons after the Second World War have really put them in the water just around here. So not just the dirty and bad Germans. So I therefore indeed especially welcome the initiative of the Bundestag, the German Parliament, the European Parliament, and also the Baltic Sea Parliamentary Conference, the BSPC, for the recent efforts that have generated really great momentum to address this challenge. I like to quote the BSP rapporteur, Peter Stein, a member of the Bundestag from Rostock, who rightly urges that we have perhaps 15 to 20 years left to get this problem under control. So there's not much time anymore. And the Navy would say it requires an all-hands-on-deck maneuver. So not just us alone, on Navy, of course, many other stakeholders. To accomplish this task, we need to join forces to the scale of the process industrially. As a German Navy, we would be happy, of course, to contribute with our regional experience, especially here, the 3rd Mine Squadron, and you just heard about this opportunity to see these guys this day or this afternoon. And as a German, and from 61, I think you should really make this clear, 61 years, say 60 years of mine countermeasure operations here in the Baltic Sea, not just alone, together with our partners. I think this shows our expertise. As already stated, in principle, up to now, the German Navy has no role in this removal of these contaminated sites in the Baltic Sea area. But due to our mission and requirements of the Grundgesetz, the basic law, the Navy is only allowed to act in case of administrative assistance. This is the key one. We do have, of course, capabilities in the area of detection, identification, classification, and of course the site removal, primarily in the form of blasting. Of course, yeah, this is easy, more easy, which I can make available if required. We could normally do this in the more eastern part of the Baltic Sea, together with the others in the mine counter operations with the Standing Naval Maritime groups. But we can do more. Another aspect is that our MCM units, mine countermeasure units, and our procedures are designed for national and collaborative defense. So we are talking about wartime scenarios. Then our mission would be protecting military and civilian ships, of course, by keeping sea lines clear of breaking mine blockades. In this case, I must say the environmental and species protection tasks would play a subordinate role in wartime scenarios. Outside of crisis, of course, things look totally different. In peacetime scenarios, environmental protection is also top priority for the German Navy, as we are, of course, a part of the executional part of the government. To this end, the German Navy has been reducing the number of blasts for training purposes and the cargo weights used for the purpose for years, and blasting projects are spatially and temporarily adapted to nature conservation concerns. And I just want to mention, because I mentioned yesterday evening as well, many said, oh, look at these guys. These guys in uniform, they just was a blast. Where it makes it boom, that's nice for them. I'm a part of the national, I just have the German one of the NABU. So even I see this right this way, just have mentioned. All common deterrence measures are carried out to the best of our knowledge and belief in order to protect the environment and marine fauna. Please believe in that. Parts of the legacy munitions and the Baltic Sea are no longer safe to handle due to the aging process, of course, you know, that of the munitions in the sea, which precludes disposal in the form of salvage and deliberation. So these components will have to be disposed of by blasting in the future as well. The German Navy would have the capabilities and expertise to do so if necessary. However, we are not able to generate sufficient protective measures, such as bubble curtains ourselves and any kind of onboard solutions. This would offer the possibility of cooperation and create a real win-win situation with civilian supplies if required. We had this yesterday also during the conference yesterday. Yesterday, the commander of the 3rd Mine Sweeping Squadron, Commander Schmidt-Eliassen, had spoken in another panel about his experience as an officer in charge. He is a specialist and is responsible for the training of these soldiers. Rightly, he addressed a military principle: train as you fight. I know many of you don't want to hear that, but this is, of course, our business. Therefore, part of the truth is that we must stay in practice, and that is why we have life blasts, or why life blasts are essential for our soldiers. For the reason we are very interested in continuing to be involved in the whole process. But there are more options in which German Navy is very much in a position to play a supporting role. We dispose of capabilities other than operational ones, as it has been doing for years. For example, the German Navy Mine Warfare Data Center, established in our headquarters in Rostock, is a permanent member of the North Sea and Baltic Sea Working Group of Experts, the BLANO, you're well aware of, which deals with contaminated sites and their effects in the sea. The other thing with the Baltic Sea Ordnance Plot, the BOP, the MWDC creates and maintains a database of all known contaminated sites, which is all available here. In addition, this center is a permanent member of the Baltic Ordnance Safety Board, in which all Baltic Sea states regularly exchange information on these sites in the Baltic Sea. The German Navy regularly assists in the identification of underwater objects within the framework of administrative assistance again. We about the EU Parliament's initiative. The initiative of the EU Parliament of clear contaminated areas in the Baltic Sea is an excellent and important step in our perception. This joint initiative clearly demonstrates the responsibility of all for environmental protection and the protection of the seas. The removal of these sites is a mammoth task that can only be solved together. We just cannot do it just on our own, both in terms of content and, of course, financially, in order to eliminate the dangers and also to protect the seas with their flora and fauna in the long term. The EU initiative includes the passage to also consider NATO support as an option. This may include operational support in the form of providing capabilities in removal as well as in coordinating role. NATO has two permanent operational, just mentioning two operational units within the mine countermeasure framework, which can of course provide their capabilities in the areas of detection, identification, classification, removal and destruction. Again, military mine countermeasures vehicles are optimized for wartime operations and require appropriate environmental support. For coordinating activity in the area of the Baltic Sea, for the coordinating activity in the sea of the Baltic Sea, the directly affected parents and rather the better choice. Here, within the framework of a Baltic Maritime Coordination Function, the BMCF, this is a new initiative we have, as it's currently to be established by NATO. Here in the Baltic Sea area, NATO could support with the members concerned. Coming to an end, a regular military data exchange between littoral states is already established and laid down in the Memorandum of Understanding and MOU. The chair of this body rotates on an annual basis. The MWDC's Baltic Sea Ordnance Plot provides a database that's available to Blano, so all these stakeholders can really come together, can coordinate with each other, can exchange data, can share especially views and perceptions. Beyond the military data exchanges, is up to the respective national authorities, of course, to agree on appropriate exchanges. Germany would certainly be in a position to take a leading role. Yes, we are ready to do that. The German Navy is ready to do this. Nevertheless, this task is not just in the military domain just alone. Of course, Germany and German Navy, I can say that, will continue to support the solution of contaminated sites in the Baltic Sea within the scope of its possibilities. Here in particular in the form of data storage, data preparation and making available, support in the location and identification of these sites, and if necessary, of course, if necessary in their removal within the framework of administrative assistance. I always emphasizing this administrative assistance for a reason that I hope that in the near future it probably change. A number of ideas already exist, including the construction of a kind of salvage and collaboration platform by TKMS. I think probably you hear later from it. We can just contribute there. We can only buy or build them. This is their job. In the context of cooperation, there would be a possibility of course, equipping the platform, even with personnel we have, with mobile, for example, bubble curtains. These could be used to enable the Navy, among others, to use its destruction capabilities we have in an environmentally friendly way, for example, to create the already addressed win-win situation. In case Germany will be assigned with a Baltic Maritime Coordination Function, we will have this, I think, at the end of the year. Military capabilities in this area could be also coordinated within NATO framework, not just national Germany or bilateral, for example, with Denmark, but might be very useful, but also NATO and EU. So, ladies and gentlemen, it was a pleasure to share my thoughts with you. For me, as a more blue water guy, because I normally worked in the North Sea, now I'm living near Rostock, so it comes closer to me. I think we have, as a German Navy, really good possibilities to contribute, but this is the only thing what we can just doing right now, contributing. Standing by for any kind of, may it be administrative assistance, or if we asked, we had it yesterday with Professor Greiner, say, okay, what do you need? What can we offer? What we are allowed to offer, of course, we need the permission by the government or by the state or on asking on the here Schleswig-Holstein government. So we are ready to do, and we can do this. We have just we need the permission. We need that somebody asks us. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Vice Admiral. That gave us some very good insights into what the German Navy is doing now and what it might be doing in the future, what it's prepared to do. I found several very interesting points that you made there. You, excuse me, you pointed out the observation that we have about 15 to 20 years, according to a lot of estimates, to solve this problem. And that may sound like a long time, but in the context of the task that it involves, the 1.5, 1.6 million tons of munitions just in this region alone, it's a monumental task, and it's going to take a long time. There are time horizons that won't make this happen anytime soon. So that just, again, I think that's what is bringing pressure to bear on us to solve this problem as a people. The German Navy was pointed out does not have the lead in dealing with munitions and munitions clearance and disposal in German waters, unlike many other countries. That is quite unique. But the German Navy does indeed have capabilities that it has developed, and it's important that they maintain those. I think the main message I heard coming from you, Vice Admiral, was that that the German Navy is ready to take on more responsibility in dealing with this, not just within Germany, but also in cooperation with other countries particularly in the Baltic and North Sea regions. I know this is the German Navy operates not just in German waters. The German Navy is now being dispatched in parts of the world that it hasn't been in for a while in the way it is now. So I know you've got a lot on your plate, on your agenda at this point. So anyway, congratulations to you for your fine work, and we appreciate your contribution to what you're doing here today. Also, one more point you made that I think is interesting, is very relevant for the people who are part of this conference, and that is that the German Navy is cooperating also with the private sector, number of authorities, in trying to develop the knowledge base on all of this, and also the capabilities that would be required to actually clear the munitions and bring up some of that horrible legacy, not just from the two world wars, but also with the collusion of other countries as well. So, I'm Canadian, by the way, just so you know, but I don't know what the Canadians were up to here. Probably no good as well. We're generally, that's the way we are. We try to present a nice face, but you never know. Anyway, our next session is coming up in just a minute. It's on detection and identification technologies, but I see we still do have about 4 minutes now to cover before that happens. As I mentioned yesterday, these sessions need to happen pretty much on the money in terms of the timing. So we're going to have to cover about 4 minutes. You've got about 4 minutes to catch your breath and digest what the Vice Admiral offered us there, and we're going to begin with our next session in just a moment. I will then pop up here again and introduce that. Thank you very much for now.